Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Now, I bet you're thinking, McDonald's earnings report. What's so deep about that? Well, trust me, folks, this isn't just about Big Macs and fries.
Yeah, at all.
We've got excerpts from Smart Money AI's analysis of McDonald's fourth quarter 2024 performance.
And it's pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it offers a glimpse into how this global giant is handling, well, everything. We're talking economic uncertainty, changing consumer tastes, even sustainability. So whether you're a diehard McDonald's fan or just curious about the business world, buckle up.
You might be surprised by what we uncover.
First off, the good news, McDonald's is thriving.
Thriving.
Yeah. Despite all the economic headwinds globally, they pulled in almost $7 billion in revenue this past quarter.
That's a 5% jump from last year.
Pretty impressive, right?
It is, especially in the current climate. So what's the secret sauce?
Well, help us understand this.
Sure, a good part of it comes from strategic price increases, but what's really interesting is the significant volume increase.
Oh, really? Especially internationally. People are still flocking to those golden arches.
You know what else caught my eye? The international flavor. Literally. Those Shamrock shakes aren't carrying the whole company. Big wins in Europe and Asia.
That's right. The report dives deep into those localized menu items.
I mean, did you know the McSpicy Paneer Burger in India
Yeah.
is one of their best-selling items globally?
I believe it. I've heard great things.
It's crazy. It outsold even some classic chicken sandwiches.
That's incredible. It shows how McDonald's really understands the importance of tailoring its menu to cater to local tastes and preferences.
And it's clearly paying off, big time.
Big time.
It makes you wonder, is the future of McDonald's less about the Big Mac and more about these kind of localized items?
It's a fascinating question. And yeah, the report kind of suggests that a lot of McDonald's future growth depends on navigating diverse cultural palettes
Interesting.
and adapting to those local market demands.
Okay, so we've got price increases, international growth, and let's not forget the digital wave.
Yeah. Nearly 40% of their sales are now digital.
It's huge. Huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Apps, kiosks, delivery partnerships.
It's like a whole new world.
It really is. And the report highlights how this is really transforming the customer experience.
How so?
Well, for one, greater personalization, quicker service. Let's be honest, sometimes it's just easier to tap your order on your phone
Oh, yeah.
than trying to shout it across a crowded counter.
Right. So what's the upside for McDonald's in all of this?
Well, I mean, beyond streamlining their operations, this whole digital push gives them access to a mountain of data, about customer preferences, ordering habits.
So it's not just about making ordering easier.
Not just that.
They're gathering intel.
The report suggests they're using all this data to personalize marketing, optimize menus,
Wow.
even predict future trends.
It's like world domination through data.
Well, maybe not world domination, but definitely gaining a competitive edge.
Right.
And that's a big focus of the report, how this data-driven approach allows them to stay ahead of the curve. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
They're adapting, innovating. And speaking of adapting, they're shaking up that menu.
Always.
Yeah, the classics are there,
Yeah.
but they're always rolling out these new items.
Like the spicy McCrispy Deluxe.
Oh, that got a shout out in the report.
Yes, it did. The report actually notes that these limited time offerings, these menu innovations, are a key part of their strategy, attracting new customers, keeping things fresh.
So true. Keeps things interesting. It creates buzz.
Absolutely. And helps them stay relevant.
Yeah, in a constantly evolving landscape.
It is.
Okay, so it seems like they're doing a lot right. But what about the challenges? I mean, even with all this growth, they're not immune to the economic pressures everyone else is facing.
Right. You're right. The report doesn't shy away from that.
Okay.
Rising costs, supply chain disruptions,
Yeah.
even shifting consumer preferences, All these pose potential threats.
Yeah. Okay, so let's dig into those challenges.
Yeah.
So we were talking about those economic pressures. The report specifically mentioned rising labor costs.
Oof.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, definitely a major pain point for them.
So how are they handling that?
Well, they're kind of walking a tightrope, right?
How so?
On one hand, they need to keep prices competitive, got to appeal to that, value-conscious customer.
Right, right.
On the other hand, they can't just absorb all those rising costs, not without impacting their profits.
A tough spot to be in.
It is.
So what's the strategy?
Well, the report highlights a few tactics.
Yeah.
One is classic, the menu pricing balancing act.
Oh, okay.
Raising prices on some items, but keeping those value menu stalwarts, your McDoubles, your McChicken.
Yeah, to keep those affordable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're also really focusing on operational efficiency. The report mentioned investments in automation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and AI-powered scheduling systems.
Oh.
All that's to optimize staffing levels and reduce labor costs.
It's amazing how technology is changing everything, even fast food.
Yeah.
Does the report touch on how these changes are impacting employees?
It does a bit. There's that growing debate about automation in the fast food industry
Right.
and, what it could mean for jobs. But the report suggests that while some roles might be automated, McDonald's is also investing in training,
Oh, okay.
upskilling their workforce to be able
Yeah.
to handle more complex tasks. So yeah,
It's a complicated issue.
it is.
It really is. Okay, so they're balancing costs with tech advancements. What else are they doing?
Well, the report pointed to their efforts in supply chain management.
Oh, right.
They're negotiating better deals with suppliers, sourcing ingredients more strategically.
I see.
They're even experimenting with vertical farming, would you believe?
Vertical farming for
Yeah.
burgers.
I know, it's wild. Shows that they're thinking outside the bun, so to speak.
I like that.
They're also looking at ways to reduce food waste, saves money. And it aligns with their sustainability goals, too.
Yeah, speaking of sustainability, the report gave them props for their efforts, but acknowledged there's still,
Room for improvement.
a long way to go.
It is. It's a mixed bag. They've made some progress with packaging, sourcing, reducing emissions, but the report kind of questions whether it's enough to satisfy those, increasingly eco-conscious consumers.
Right.
And it also points out the challenges, with the environmental impact of a global supply chain, beef production particularly.
Yeah, sustainability just feels like one of those areas where there's always more to do.
Yeah, it's an ongoing journey, right?
Wow.
And the report really stresses that being transparent,
Yeah,
clearly communicating what they're doing will be really important, especially to build trust with those consumers who care about these issues.
absolutely. Okay, so tackling cost pressures, navigating automation, striving for sustainability. What does all this mean for the future of McDonald's?
Well, despite all these challenges, the report actually paints a pretty optimistic picture. They're projecting growth in 2025, further expansion into international markets, especially in Asia and Africa, and continued innovation with all their digital offerings.
So more McSpicy Paneers, more McDelivery apps. That's our future.
Possibly. But the report also stresses they'll need to stay agile, adapt to those rapid changes in consumer preferences, those global market dynamics. There's no room for complacency in the fast food world.
It sounds like they're gearing up for a challenging but exciting future. Now, what about potential roadblocks? Did the report mention anything?
Yeah, one thing it highlighted was the increasing competition.
Oh, of course.
I mean, it's not just other burger joints anymore, right?
Right. So many options now.
Exactly. Fast casual restaurants, delivery services, even grocery stores with prepared meals. So how do they stay ahead? The report suggests they'll need to keep differentiating themselves, menu innovation, personalized experiences, focus on convenience. They're even exploring new formats, smaller stores for delivery and takeaway, catering to those evolving habits.
It seems like they're always evolving. But what about the risks with, their heavy reliance on technology?
Yeah, that's another valid concern the report brought up, cybersecurity threats, data privacy issues. What if their digital platforms go down? That could have a huge impact.
Yep.
They'll need to really invest in cybersecurity and make sure their data practices are transparent and ethical.
For sure. And what about geopolitical events, economic uncertainty? I know the report mentioned those too.
Absolutely. Global supply chains, they're vulnerable.
Oh, yeah.
Political instability, trade wars, natural disasters. They'll need to build resilience, make contingency plans. And of course, if there's a big economic downturn, that could impact consumer spending,
Put pressure on their growth.
Exactly.
So it's clear that McDonald's is facing this complex and ever-changing landscape.
Mm.
Internal pressures like rising costs, labor challenges, and then external forces. Competition, technology, geopolitical uncertainty.
Mm.
But even with all that, the report suggests they're in a good position for continued success, as long as they stay adaptable.
And innovative, right?
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
And I think it's so fascinating how McDonald's, a symbol of American culture, is increasingly shaping its future around international markets.
Yeah, and evolving consumer preferences.
So what does that tell us about the world? What does that say?
Well, I think it suggests that even iconic brands like McDonald's can't just rest on their laurels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can't just rely on the past. They've got to constantly be listening to their customers, adapt to local tastes, embrace new technologies, new business models. That's how you thrive in this globalized, interconnected world.
This deep dive into McDonald's earnings report,
It's been a journey.
it has, and it's been anything but predictable.
It has not.
We've talked about economic pressures, their embrace of technology, sustainability, their ambitious growth plans. But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. We were just talking about how much of McDonald's future success is tied to international markets.
Yeah.
The report suggested that in a few years, their growth in places like India and Brazil, it might actually outpace their growth here in the U.S.
It's an interesting thought, isn't it? We tend to think of McDonald's as this American icon, but they're becoming more and more reliant on global consumers for growth.
It's true. And that means adapting to different tastes, navigating cultural nuances, even reconsidering those classic menu items.
Right.
There was a whole section in the report about how their marketing strategies actually differ depending on the region.
Oh, interesting.
For example, in some Asian countries, they really emphasize convenience and speed.
Makes sense.
But in European markets, they focus more on quality of ingredients,
Yeah.
their sustainability efforts.
So it's not just a one-size-fits-all approach.
Not at all. It's about understanding those consumers,
Yeah.
what resonates with them in different parts of the world, and tailoring everything to that.
It's smart. It makes you wonder, though, if McDonald's is becoming less about the Big Mac and more about the McSpicy Paneer.
Right.
What does that say about American influence on the global stage? Are we seeing some kind of shift in cultural power dynamics?
It's a really good question. McDonald's could be like a microcosm of this broader trend, where American cultural exports, they aren't the dominant force they once were.
Interesting.
As other economies grow, consumer preferences diversify, brands, they need to adapt, or they risk becoming irrelevant.
Yeah, and it seems like McDonald's is taking that to heart. They're not just trying to sell American culture anymore. They're trying to become a part of that global cultural fabric.
Which means embracing local flavors, customs, even values.
It raises another question, too, about the role of a global brand in shaping cultural identity.
Ooh, I like that.
Can a company like McDonald's, with its roots in American fast food, can they really become a symbol of local culture in places like India, Brazil? Or will they always be seen as an outsider, even if they adapt to their menu, their marketing?
It's a really great question. And I don't think the report gave a definitive answer, but it did say that McDonald's success hinges on this balance.
Yeah, that balance between their global brand identity and their commitment to local relevance.
It's like walking a tightrope.
It is, but it seems like they're determined to figure it out. Their future might depend on it.
Well, we've covered a lot today. From McSpicy Paneers to vertical farming,
Data-driven marketing.
global expansion. This deep dive into McDonald's earnings, it's been fascinating. Not just about the company itself, but these broader trends shaping, well, everything. The global economy, the cultural landscape.
I've really enjoyed exploring all these ideas with you. It's always so interesting to look beneath the surface, to unpack the complexities behind things we might take for granted.
Absolutely. And I hope we've given our listeners something to think about. So, next time you're enjoying your McMuffin or Makaloo Tiki, remember there's always more to the story.
Keep questioning, keep exploring.
And keep diving deep. Until next time.